The snow fell gently through the bare branches, each flake catching the amber glow of the park's old-fashioned street lamps. Sarah Mitchell pulled her cream wool coat tighter around her shoulders as she sat on the familiar wooden bench. This had become her ritual over the past 6 months, escaping to Central Park after particularly difficult board meetings, letting the quiet winter evening wash away the stress of running one of Manhattan's largest consulting firms. At 34, Sarah had built an empire from nothing. Her corner office on the 42nd floor overlooked this very park. But somehow the view from down here, among the snow-dusted paths and gentle lamplight, felt more real, more peaceful. She checked her phone reflexively. 3 missed calls. From her assistant, probably about tomorrow's merger presentation. Sarah sighed and tucked the device away. The corporate world could wait another hour. That's when she noticed the small figure standing a few feet away. A little girl, maybe 4 or 5 years old, stood perfectly still on the snowy path. Her brown winter coat was well worn but clean, with a fuzzy hood pulled up against the cold. Tiny boots peeked out from beneath dark leggings, and clutched against her chest was a small teddy bear. Its fur matted from countless hugs. Sarah's breath caught. The child was alone, and the park was nearly empty as evening deepened. "Hello there," Sarah said softly, not wanting to startle her. "Are you okay, sweetheart?" The little girl turned, revealing a heart-shaped face with wide blue eyes and rosy cheeks kissed by the cold. She studied Sarah for a long moment, as if weighing whether this stranger could be trusted with something important. "I don't have a mama," the child said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "Can I spend a day with you, ma'am?" The words hit Sarah like a physical blow. She felt her chest tighten, not from the cold, but from something much deeper. The simple honesty in that small voice, the careful politeness that suggested someone had taught this child to be respectful even when asking for the impossible. "Oh, honey," Sarah breathed, sliding to the edge of the bench. Where is your family? Are you lost?" The little girl shook her head, taking a tentative step closer. "I live with Mrs. Henderson at the home. She's nice, but she's got lots of kids to watch. And today I just wanted to pretend I had a mama who could take me places and read me stories and maybe make hot chocolate." Sarah's heart broke a little more with each word. She recognized the building. The child must mean Riverside Children's Home, just 6 blocks from the park. Sarah had donated to their fundraisers for years, writing checks from her office without ever really thinking about the faces behind the need. Now, she was looking at one of those faces. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Sarah asked, her voice gentler than it had been in any boardroom. "Emma," the girl replied, hugging her teddy bear tighter. "This is Mr. Buttons. He was my mama's before she went to heaven." Sarah closed her eyes briefly, feeling a familiar ache. She understood loss in her own way. Her parents had died in a car accident when she was 22, leaving her to build her life alone. But to lose a mother so young, "Emma," Sarah said, opening her eyes and meeting the child's gaze. "I can't take you away from Mrs. Henderson because she'll be worried sick about you. Would you like to spend a little time together right now? We could walk around the park and I could tell you stories." Emma's face lit up like the Christmas tree that would soon grace Rockefeller Center. "Really? You wouldn't mind?" "I wouldn't mind at all," Sarah said, surprised by how much she meant it. She pulled out her phone and found the number for Riverside Children's Home. "But first, I need to call Mrs. Henderson and let her know you're safe." The conversation with Mrs. Henderson was brief, but warm. The older woman had been searching the nearby streets for Emma, who had apparently slipped out during dinner time. She was grateful beyond words that someone kind had found her, and after Sarah explained who she was and offered references, Mrs. Henderson agreed to let them spend an hour together in the park before bringing Emma home. "She does this sometimes," Mrs. Henderson had said quietly. "Looks for mother figures. It's natural, given what she's been through." As Sarah tucked her phone away, Emma had already claimed the spot beside her on the bench. Mr. Buttons perched carefully on her lap. "So," Sarah said, "what kind of stories do you like?" "Stories about mamas and little girls," Emma said without hesitation. "Happy ones." Sarah thought for a moment, then began to weave a tale about a brave little girl and her mother who lived in a castle made of clouds, where they spent their days painting rainbows and teaching birds to sing lullabies. Emma listened with rapt attention, occasionally asking questions or adding her own details to the story. As they talked, Sarah found herself relaxing in a way she hadn't in years. There was something magical about seeing the world through Emma's eyes, the way she pointed out how the falling snow looked like sugar being sprinkled from heaven, or how the street lamps seemed like golden flowers blooming in the winter darkness. "Are you a mama?" Emma asked suddenly, interrupting Sarah's story about the Cloud Castle's magical garden. Sarah felt her chest tighten again. "No, sweetheart, I'm not." "Why not?" Emma asked with the direct curiosity of childhood. Sarah considered her answer carefully. "I suppose I've been so busy with work that I never took time to think about it. I help run a big company, and that takes up most of my time." Emma nodded solemnly. "Mrs. Henderson says some people are meant to help lots of people at once, and some people are meant to help just a few people, lots and lots." Maybe you're the first kind. The wisdom in those words, coming from someone so small, left Sarah speechless for a moment. They spent the next half hour building a small snowman on the path. Beside the bench, Emma's hands were tiny but determined, and she insisted that Mr. Buttons should help by supervising from his spot on the bench. Sarah found herself actually laughing for the first time in months. When it was time to go, Emma slipped her small mittened hand into Sarah's as they walked the 6 blocks to the children's home. The brick building was warm and welcoming, with Christmas decorations in the windows and the sound of children's voices drifting from inside. Mrs. Henderson met them at the door. The woman in her 60s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense air that reminded Sarah of her own grandmother. "Emma, sweetheart, you scared me," she said, pulling the little girl into a gentle hug, "but I'm glad you found such a nice friend." Emma looked up at Sarah with those wide blue eyes. "Will I see you again?" Sarah felt something shift inside her chest, like a door she hadn't known was closed, suddenly swinging open. "Would you like that?" Emma nodded eagerly. Sarah looked at Mrs. Henderson, who was watching the exchange with knowing eyes. I'd like to volunteer here, if you'll have me. Maybe read stories to the children. Help with homework. We'd be honored," Mrs. Henderson said warmly. "Emma's not the only one here who could use some extra attention." As they said their goodbyes, Emma reached up and hugged Sarah's legs tightly. "Thank you for being my mama today," she whispered, walking back through the snowy park toward her apartment. Sarah felt different somehow. Lighter. The corporate world that had consumed her life for so many years suddenly seemed less important than a little girl who just wanted someone to share stories with. She pulled out her phone and sent a text to her assistant. "Cancel my morning meetings tomorrow. I have somewhere more important to be." For the first time in years, Sarah Mitchell had found something worth rearranging her schedule for, and it had found her sitting on a park bench in the snow, when she least expected it but perhaps needed it most.